Barakatuh. Inshallah, you are all in the best of health and iman. We are blessed to see another Friday. We are blessed to have another topic. And we are honored to have our Sheikh, Abu Usamah At-Thahabi, here with us today to discuss a topic I am sure many single brothers and sisters are excited about, and also our married brothers as well. You can always go for. As always, we'll have our questions at the end. For those online and for our sisters, use Slido, and that's LOVE. That will be the title. And for the brothers, feel free to ask here. And a very, very important announcement, inshallah. I don't think I need to highlight what's happening in Turkey and in Syria. Our brothers and sisters are in a dire need of all of our helps. Kilburn Islamic Center, alhamdulillah, is running a fundraiser to aid those in need. We'll be running it today, tomorrow, up until Monday. And we'll be doing a collection after the lesson, inshallah. We all know the importance of sadaqah, we all know the importance of giving, and we also know the importance of standing with one another. We are Muslims, we are one ummah. When one part of the body aches, the entire body comes down with a fever. So this is the time where we all need to dig deep, inshallah, my brothers and sisters, and donate whatever we can. Do not belittle any amount you give, for no amount is too little and no amount is too big. Do give what you can, inshallah, and all donations made today will be going to Turkey and Syria, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, and I'll hand it over to Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. Allah Azza wa Jalla has mentioned in the Quran, وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We have revealed to you, Ya Muhammad, this book, the Quran, and it makes everything clear. Everything that you need to know about how to get to Jannah and how to save yourself from the hellfire is in the book of Allah. We don't need non-Muslims teaching us. We don't have to learn from them things, because everything that they have to say, if it's true, you're going to find that source, that reality in the Quran. And that's in every single aspect of our lives. The Nabi al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned, مَا مِن شَيْءٍ يُقَرِّبُكُم مِّنَ الْجَنَّةِ إِلَّا أَمَرْتُكُم بِهِ. There is nothing, nothing under the sun, nothing that will cause you to go to Jannah except I told you to do it. Have tawheed, pray, give zakat, Sawm, Hajj, Umrah, birr walidain, as-sabr, al-nadhafa, all of that. Al-jihad, in the right way. And he said there's nothing that will cause you to go to the hellfire except that I prohibited you from it. So our religion is a religion where every aspect of our existence, it has been explained. Everything. Being a former Christian, you won't find in the book or the religion of the Christians how to eat. There's not a dietary law in there, and this is why it's easy for Christians and Jews to cherry pick how they're going to practice their religion. The Muslim can also cherry pick. He can. But Allah Ta'ala has established a hujjah against him. He can cherry pick, practice the religion how he wants to. But Yawmul Qiyamah, he's going to be held to the Prophet as being his example, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And his cherry picking is going to be determined how far he was away from that man who came, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the shahidu min al-kalam, this issue of love has been explained in details to the point, I can't talk about everything concerning love in a 45-minute lecture. There are just too many things to talk about and too many angles to deal with. But I want you to know, Ya Abdullah, Ya Muslim, in our religion, every aspect of our religion, whatever is connected to our lives, you can find it. Allah didn't leave you, and we don't know our way. The Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taraktukum al-mahajjat al-bayda, layluha kanahariha, la yazighu anha illa halik. I have left you people in this religion on a path that is clear and distinct. Is nighttime is like it's daytime. So we are living 1,444 years since the Hijrah from Mecca to Al-Medina. So this is relatively a long time from when the Prophet first came, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But we have the ability to pray like him exactly, fast like him exactly, Hajj, Umrah, everything we need to know about love. In 2023, there is nothing that's going to face you that's new where the Muslim's going to sit there and say, what shall I do? How should I deal with it? But it's up to you, it's up to me, it's up to us to learn our religion. That's the challenge. And right now, one of the proofs that Yawmul Qiyamah is close is that knowledge has been taken away from most of the people. Also, that Yawmul Qiyamah is close is that the Dajjal is about to be unleashed on the people. And this is why we have all this kadhib that people take as being the gospel truth. We are used to lies. The Imam is a kadhab because he's up there telling people about a hadith that the Prophet didn't say. The da'i is telling the community about what is not the religion. Not to mention music, not to mention TV, not to mention the time is set where when the Dajjal comes, it's going to be easy for the most religious person here. I don't know who he is from the men. I don't know who she is from the women. But if the Dajjal came right now, everybody in this masjid is in a position where you will say Dajjal is Allah, because the most practicing people, we've taken and embraced kadhib. So this thing with love is a big mushkila because we're not doing it the right way. So I want to say to you at the top of the list that love in Al-Islam has been explained. Too many things to say. So I want to deal with a few things, but before I deal with those things, inshallah, a few points, I just want to randomly give you some examples. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to a group of people, those Arabs, and it's from the hikmah of Allah that Allah chose the Nabi to be from the Arabs and for the Quran to be in their language, because the Arabs, like it who likes it, hate it who hate it, they are a special gens. They're a special species. Unfortunately, today, the Arabs of today are not like their ajdad. They're not even like Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl, who were heavy as it relates to ar-rajula wa furusiya. They were some heavy personalities. The Arabs today are not like the Arabs yesterday, but nonetheless, from the hikmah of Allah, the Arabs are not like Africans. The Arabs are not like Europeans. The Arabs are not like any other gens of the people. And the way they were, this issue of love with them is something that Al-Islam came and it cleaned up. It embellished the good that they already had and some of the evil concepts and applications that they used to have about love. Al-Islam came to clean it up. So we have in our religion, for an example, just random, Sab'atun yudhilluhumullah fi dhillihi yawma la dhilla illa dhilluhu. There will be 7 people who will be under the shade of Allah on the day when there is no shade, Yawmul Qiyamah. And that shade will be provided for by the arsh of Allah that we believe in. So the people will be under that arsh. 2 of those people from the 7 are 2 men who love each other for Allah's sake. Love. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's companions, he would make everybody feel like they were special. I meet a brother today, Yunus. My dome is banging right now. At a rough day, I haven't slept since Thursday because Allah blessed me with a child, alhamdulillah. And my dome is banging. I mean literally, inside my head it's going boom, boom, boom. But I'm doing my best here. Yunus came to me. I don't know Yunus, but I had to give him love because that's how the Prophet was with everybody. So the companions were sitting together and they started arguing. What were they arguing about? They were arguing in that each one of them was saying, Rasulullah loves me more than you, because he made everybody feel that way. So if you knew him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you walked around the community believing that he loved you more than he loved him and him and him and him, because of the way he treated you. Imagine. So they were arguing. But the companions, who are the blueprint for success and who we should be like, Allah told them, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّهُ إِلَى الرَّسُولِ إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. If you truly believe in Allah in the last day and you have any ikhtilaf, don't argue, don't hate each other, don't boycott each other, refer it back to the Nabi. They said, let's go to him. They said, Ya Rasulullah, who do you love the most? He said, Aisha. They said, nah, that's your wife. We know that. That's automatic, by default. We mean from the men. He said, her father. So that hadith, love. He loved his wife, and he was romantic with his wife. So we don't want any sisters here believing, or any of the youngsters believing or thinking, although we despise and we categorically reject the love of Hollywood, the love of Bollywood, the love of hip-hop music, the love of popular culture, we reject that nonsense. I want my daughters to be far away from that mess, but although that is the reality, yeah, a man can be romantic. The Prophet would sit with Aisha, may Allah Ta'ala be pleased with her, was sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would hand her the glass or the cup. She would drink it, some, give it back to him. He would take it and turn the cup to where she put her lips and drank it in front of her to show her, I love you. Some of us come from cultures where the lady is just a piece of furniture and you a gorilla. You treat the lady like a Cro-Magnon caveman. Some of our cultures are like that. Prophet Muhammad wasn't like that. He said, khayrukum khayrukum li ahlihi wa ana khayrukum li ahli. Random. He loved his wife and he loved her father, a man. Random, a hadith about love. When we talk about love, Jibril came to the Prophet and told him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is not the point right now. I'm giving you random ideas about love in Islam. It's a comprehensive, understandable issue. It's not this folder of these kuffar in the West or what we believe from our cultures and countries. Jibril came from the heavens. He came to him and he said, Ya Muhammad, ahbib man shit fa innaka tufariquhu. Ya Muhammad, love anybody you want to love. You want to have an indecent relationship on the internet or through text messaging people or haram for you, and her dad and brothers and awliya don't know that you creeping and you tipping with their sister or their daughter. You don't know. Jibril said, love whoever you want to love, Muhammad, because the day is going to come, you're going to separate from that person. You're going to separate from your mother, your father, your child, and so forth and so on. When I had my baby the other day, Thursday, the Muslims were the majority of the people in the triage. We outnumbered the non-Muslims in Birmingham in the women's hospital. My wife had a baby, alhamdulillah. My wife survived, my baby survived. Those people who were with me, some of their wives didn't survive, they died. Some of those babies didn't survive, they died. Love whoever you want to love. The day is gonna come, you're gonna split from that person. And there's not a person sitting here except we've lost somebody. Some of us are still dealing with the pain of losing someone close to us. Love. Love whoever you want to love, Muhammad. So there are a lot of things that the Nabi told us about love, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. He told the people, لَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ حَتَّى تُؤْمِنُوا وَلَن تُؤْمِنُوا حَتَّى تَحَابُوا أَفَلَا أُدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ إِذَا فَعَلْتُمُوهُ تَحَابَبْتُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ قَالَ افْشُوا السَّلَامَ بَيْنَكُمْ. You people will never enter into Jannah. Never. until you believe. Now, a Muslim is not going into Jannah. I don't know how in the world some of the Muslims, when the lady who was a non-Muslim died, the Muslims were making sajda to her and singing songs in the masjid, and I just don't get that. I just don't get that. And I have to be clear so there's no ambiguity. When the Queen died, I am not here condoning, endorsing someone going out and celebrating when a lady like that or a personality like that dies. I'm not saying let's go and have a party and say and do what some of the Muslims did that was inappropriate. It's a mother, grandmother, and that's not good dawah. That's not a good look for us. But at the same time, how in the world can the Muslim make sajda to her coffin and make dua and ask Allah for maghfirah and rahmah? What kind of stuff is that? The hadith said, you Muslims will never enter into Jannah until you believe. Never. And you won't believe until you love one another. Shall I not tell you something? If you do it, it will force and cause you to love one another. They say, yes, what is that? He said, spread salams. And we can't do that now. Our kids don't do it because Islam, they're getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Your kid get in the car with people, your kids won't say salam alaikum. It's not normal. It's supposed to be the normal thing that we're supposed to do. Spread salams. That's a hadith of love. I want to get into my topic now. I'm going to get in my topic, but I want to say something that I've always remembered and it resonated with me, and I want you guys to remember this, you young brothers. One of the greatest scholars in Islam is the one you heard of, Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah is not like Imam Ahmed by no stretch of the imagination, but during his time, he was on another level. And one of his greatest students was Ibn al-Qayyim. Ibn al-Qayyim was taught by Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn al-Qayyim used to say, remember this, whenever he had an opinion in Al-Islam that he disagreed with his Sheikh, Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim had a different position and opinion about that issue. He would say, Sheikh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, Habibuna, we love him. Walakin al-haq ahabbu ilayna. But the truth is more beloved to me than he is. Allah is al-haq. That's from Allah's names. Allah is more beloved to me than Ibn Taymiyyah. The truth. I'm not going to follow Ibn Taymiyyah or my Sheikh or my Imam just because he's my Imam or my father or my mother. The hadith of the Nabi is clear in that regard. He mentions sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, la yu'minu ahadukum hatta akuna ahabba ilayhi min walidihi wa waladihi wan nas ajma'in. None of you truly believes until I become more beloved to you than his father, his mother, than his children, and all of the people. So a lot can be said about love from the hadith of the Nabi, from the Sunnah. A lot. But now I want to deal with the issue. I want to deal with the issue that's on the table today. First thing that I want to mention is we're in the month of February. And February is coinciding right now with the sacred month of Rajab. And Rajab, unfortunately, is a month where Muslims do all kind of madness and wildness, like the Jews and the Christians. They do a salah called Salat al-Raghaib in this month. They believe this is the month of Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. This is the month they do a lot of things, have nothing to do with this religion. And this month is coinciding with February. February is a khurafat month as well for the kuffar. This is the month of Valentines. The Valentines. My wife likes flowers, normally. She wants to keep flowers in my house. After 7 days, get a new bouquet. She got a baby, I want to hook her up to show her my appreciation because I saw the jihad that she went through. I saw it. So I went to get the flowers. Not because the kuffar give flowers, although that's not haram. What's haram is when you want to get married to a sister, you get on your knee and you pull the ring out. And when you get on your knee, you're going to that's not from our religion. That's corny. Who does that? That's corny right there. That's a sign. And if the Muslim were to do that, the sister says, oh. We say, hey, that's not from our religion. I went to get the flowers for my wife, and the whole theme in the Muslim florist in the shop was Valentines. Teddy bears, hearts, candy, and all of this stuff. So the Muslim is saying to his wife, be my Valentine. The kids who are in school are sending text messages to other girls and boys, be my Valentine. I want to make this first point, and that's something about love. Cupid, the little angel, and he's like a white angel flying around me naked. And he has an arrow where he'll shoot you, and when he shoots you, you fall in love. Is that our religion? That's khurafat. And whoever told you that angels were white flying around like that? As a Christian, we used to believe that. Jibril was white. Mikael was white. Jesus is white. The Son of God is white. All kivit. And this is not about white or black or racism. It's about kivit. So it's not permissible for a person, a Muslim, to sell that stuff, to believe in that stuff, to be a practitioner of that stuff. If the girl is practicing the religion and she meets a decent brother, her father is involved, his family is involved, and they look and seem like they're gonna get married. So he wants to show that he's romantic, and he sends something with Valentine. She has to pull him up on it and say, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I want to say about Valentine's, ikhwani, and this is important. This is important. One of the last surahs that were revealed in the Quran is Surah At-Tawbah. It's also known as Surah Al-Bara. Al-Bara, like Al-Wala wal-Bara. One of the most important preachings and teachings of this religion. Al-Wala. We are with the Muslims. We're friends and protectors of one another. Al-Bara, we're free. We're free. Free of what? We're free of shirk and the mushrikeen. We're free of shirk and the mushrikeen. So then there's Surah At-Tawbah, there is an ayat where Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the beginning of the surah, أَذَانٌ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ إِلَى النَّاسِ يَوْمَ الْحَجِّ الْأَكْبَرِ أَنَّ اللَّهَ بَرِيءٌ مِّنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ وَرَسُولُهُ. This ayah came down and it said, this is a proclamation, an adhan. We tell the people, they can hear it. This is a proclamation from Allah on the day of Al-Hajj Al-Akbar, that Allah is free from the mushrikeen, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is free from their shirk. He's also free from them. This is important, ikhwani. Al-Islam, the definition of Al-Islam, it is Al-Istislam lillahi ta'ala bit-tawheed, that you submit to Allah with tawheed. Islam is not you submitting, but you believe in the yarmi and the khatam. Al-istislam lillahi bit-tawheed. Wal-bara'atu min al-shirk wal-mushrikeen. And you free yourself from al-Islam and the mushrikeen. Wal-inqiyad to the awamir of Allah and His nawahi. That you do what Allah said to do, and you avoid what He... That's al-Islam. Al-Islam is not me being a Muslim, but I'm not freeing myself from the mushrikeen. So very quickly, because I have a lot to do, what does it mean to free yourself from the mushrikeen? And now we're going to move on. 3 things. Pay attention to me, ya ikhwani. What does it mean to free yourself? You remember this. It includes 3 things that start with the harf ain. That's how you remember. You have to free yourself from the aqidah. You have to free yourself from what they believe that goes against Islam. For an example, Shaitan is a black devil with a long tail that our kids watch in cartoons. So we believe they grow up, Shaitan has a pitchfork and he's responsible for the hellfire. La al-amru laysa kadhalik. That's not the aqidah of the Muslim. We write text messages and we say my wife is in the hospital about to give the baby, and then I send the emoji where the people like pray for me. That's their aqidah. Does anybody here pray like this? Muslims don't pray like this. You have to use the emoji of opening your hands if that's what you want to do. This is not the emoji to tell someone pray for me. This is how Christians pray. This is how those people, if you're doing martial arts, people from China and Japan, they respect people like this. Not our religion. So you have to free yourself and not do things like that. The second aim is that you have to free yourself from all of their ibadah. All of their ibadah. Everything that non-Muslims do as ibadah, don't do it. Bowing down out of respect for people, we don't do that. Whatever you can think of is their ibadah, we don't do it. Fasting all day, as some of them fast, whatever it is, praying with them. People giving dawah to Allah, and in their dawah, they all stand around. They allow the Muslim to pray. They'll allow the Muslim to pray. So the Muslim makes dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And now it's the Christian's turn. So the Christians start saying, oh, Jesus, give me. And the Muslims say, I mean. You can't do that. And lastly, and this is the point, freeing yourself from the mushrikeen is freeing yourself from their celebrations. If you don't do that, there's something wrong with your Islam. All of their celebrations, their ayad, Christmas, all of that stuff, Valentine's, Easter, all of that stuff. Because in our religion, as we mentioned, Al-Islam has explained everything we need to know. So for a person to look at Valentine cards and all of this as being something easy and small, this is a big mushkila. Allah described his servants in the Quran, the Ibadur Rahman, and he said about them, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورِ وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. The real servants of Allah, those who they do not partake in lying. Azur, counterfeit, it's fake, it's not real. He doesn't know that he can't say Merry Christmas. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. So as it relates to loving and Valentine's, that has nothing to do with our religion, and it's not permissible to partake in it whatsoever. Now as it relates to the love of Al-Islam, a few points I want to make, inshallah, and then we're done from here. And there are a lot of things. And the first thing, and this is especially to the sisters who are listening, the young, inexperienced girls who are waiting for Slick Rick, Chilly Willy, come get in their ear, start giving them lyrics, and lo and behold, she's not a bad girl. She's not a bad, it's just that her father, her wali, is not on top of her. Her awliya, her brothers, they're not on top of her. She's inexperienced. So Slick Rick comes on the scene, and he start kicking it with her. And she just be feeling, oh man, I'm in love. And she gets a flower, just a random flower. And she walks and says, he loves me not. He loves me not. Who does that? Who does that? In Al-Islam, if we wanted to make a decision about something we don't know, we want to know where the khair is. We don't know. Do we pick flowers up and say, yes, do it or don't do it? Do we do that? What do we do if we're trying to figure out something that we don't know? What do? We make salat al-istikhara, making a decision on a flower, or those other flowers that are white, you blow it, and they go flying. And so when she sees those in the sky, she says, oh, her friend said, you're about to be loved soon. Love is coming one of our ways. Who believes in that? There's white on the nail. White. Look at your nails right now. Everybody look at your nails right now. Usually you don't have a white spot on your nail. Anybody see a white spot on your nail? All that means is you have some kind of deficiency in vitamin D. But the khurafat of these kuffar means, oh, I got that white thing, I'm about to get married soon. I'm about to meet my soulmate. Who believes in that? Not the people of Islam. So the first thing I want to mention about love is that we have to understand that as Muslims, This is the place of love. Right here. And that's why they draw that heart. And yes, it is permissible for us to send hearts to our wives and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the symbol because that's where it is in our religion. Right here. And this heart right here is controlled by who? Who controls it? Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's why as we sit right here, some of us love the color purple, like me. I like purple more than any other color. Some of us like ketchup. The other guy likes mustard. The other one, he likes mayonnaise. Why don't we all love the same thing? Because Allah is in control of the heart. You'll find the husband loving his wife and the wife not loving her husband. And there were two companions that was like that. One, the lady name was Burera, and her husband's name was Mughith. They were both slaves. When Aisha purchased the freedom of the girl, she was free. Said, I don't want to be with you anymore because you're a slave. If I want to go to Hajj, Umrah, you can't go unless your master, your owner, allows you. You don't even own your own time. You can't give me what I need. She didn't love him, but he loved her. He used to walk around Medina crying in public. Rasulullah said, Ya Abu Bakr, do you not find it astonishing the love that Mughith has for Burera and the disdain that she has for him? Abu Bakr said, Ya Rasulullah, why don't you go and intercede on his behalf? He went and he said, Ya Burera, what's going on? Like, can't you change? She said, are you ordering me to do this, Ya Rasulullah? Because I love you more than him. I love you more than my mother and my father. I'm a mu'minah. Are you ordering me to take him back? He said, no, I'm just interceding. She said, I have no need for him. I don't want to be married to him. You don't want to be in that situation, Ya Abdullah, where you love your wife like that and she despises you. We're going to make a dua. You just say, Ameen. Don't put your hands up. Oh, Allah, don't put us in that situation. Say, Ameen. You don't want to be in that situation. You love a woman and she doesn't appreciate you or love you, or vice versa. Toxic. Allah owns the hearts. So the Prophet taught us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in his dua of sajda, Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala deenin. Oh Allah, you are the turner of the hearts. Establish my heart on the truth, on your deen. You got to make that dua about love. Allah inna fil jasad mudgha. إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله. In your body there is a morsel of flesh that if it is good, the rest of the body will be good. If it's bad, the rest will be bad. And it's your heart. If you have a good heart of taqwa, a heart of wara', a heart that's aware, you'll be able to handle this stuff. But if your heart is weak, you're an emotional person and you're weak. And as a woman, you will allow your heart to control you. وَتَتَحَكَّمُ فِيكَ. You in trouble. You're in trouble. Got to be able to use your brain to say, this is not a good look for me. So the Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, al-qulub bayna asbi'i ar-Rahman yuqallibuha kayfa yasha. Everybody's heart is between the two fingers of Ar-Rahman. He changes it how he wants. So he's on a sunnah today, he's on innovation tomorrow. Sunnah tomorrow, next day he's on, and so forth. He's a kafir yesterday, a Muslim today. So the point here is, as a Muslim, especially those of you who are not married, you have to start inculcating in your everyday dua, just your existence. Oh Allah, protect my heart. Protect my heart from these men who are out here. Because the vast majority of them, sister, don't mean you any good. And they would discard you like a dirty rag after you were tricked. That's the first point that we want to make concerning love. It's right here. And if you want to do it the right way and be on top of the situation, purify your heart. And that's where tazkiyat an-nafs comes in. And everything about the arkan of al-Islam is tazkiyat an-nafs. The tawheed of Allah, the salat, the zakat, the sawm and hajj. The more you do it, the more you understand it, the more pure your heart will be. We don't got time for that. Second point that we want to mention to you guys concerning the heart is, as it relates to love in Islam, it's not a small issue. It is one of the biggest issues in this religion. The hadith said, أوثق أُرُ الإسلام الحب في الله والبغض في الله. The biggest, أوثق, the strongest institution of Al-Islam, the strongest button in Al-Islam, institution, the strongest one is loving for Allah and hating for Allah. It's not easy. Having the ability to love for Allah and to hate for Allah. It's not easy. The Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man ahabba lillah, wa abghada lillah, wa a'ta lillah, wa man'a lillah, faqad istakmala imanuhu." Anyone who loves for Allah and he hates for Allah, he doesn't love for his nafs, he doesn't love for his qabila, he doesn't love because of his izzah. He loves for Allah and he hates for Allah. He gives for Allah, like situation in Turkey. The situation in Turkey. The Turkish people right now, in terms of the deen, they have been westernized a lot. But we still have love for our Turkish brothers. No one in his right mind wants to see that type of fitna and those kinds of kawadith that happen to our brothers. Who in his right mind is trying to be a practicing Muslim and he wants to be on a sunnah and he doesn't want khurafat and shirk in his deen? He sees the condition of the Muslim, and when something happens, he said, that's because of what they're doing. They deserve. Who says that? So we're going to give money to them for Allah's sake, because they are our brothers, and Allah told us. And we know, had it not been for the rahmah of Allah, that could have been us. We don't have to have an earthquake for the building to fall in on us. And again, I share with you, I had a baby the other day, and I was on the ward where women were screaming in pain and agony because they were about to have the babies. And my wife went through that same thing. After I saw what happened, I had a great appreciation for my mother. I had a greater appreciation for my wives. And I want to tell you, you should appreciate your mothers more. All of you. And your wives, because having a baby ain't no joke. It's not a joke. But anyway, I saw a kid in Turkey. The building fell on the mother, and she had the baby. She died in the rubble, and the umbilical cord was still connected to the baby. They severed it and took the baby. I couldn't believe it. I told my mother, my wife, yes, I respect what you did. You were a hero to me. But look what that lady went through. Look what that lady, can you imagine? And still Allah is Arhamar Rahimin. So as it relates to this issue of love, whoever loves for Allah, hates for Allah, gives for Allah, and he doesn't give for Allah. My kid wants money from me so he get a PlayStation. My kid wants money from me so he can go do something haram. My wife wants money for me to buy some Valentines or something like that. I say, no, I'm not giving for that. And I'm going to stick to my guns because that's what I'm supposed to do. Whoever does that and exists like that, his iman is complete. Love is not this Hollywood, Bollywood nonsense. Hey, little man, kill that, man. Kill that. And I know none of you watch Hollywood and Bollywood. I know that, alhamdulillah. In the Bollywood movie, the hero, he'll be on the 20th floor fighting 45, 50 people by himself. He's doing karate, mixed martial arts, all of that. He pulls up to the building on his motorcycle, and his girl is up there. It's his girlfriend, ain't even halal. He runs upstairs, and he starts fighting them all, knocking them all out. And then he has nowhere to go. He drops the lady from the 20th floor and runs down the stairs, catches her, and puts on the motorcycle, and he goes away. And the sister says, I want a man like that. The Muslim lady says that. Look at the Arab world. Look at the musalsalat in the Arab world. It's all kalam farik. It's all lies. It's all evil. And we grow up having those images of love and relationships. It ain't gonna work, brother. It's not gonna work. It's not going to work. So in the Al-Islam, loving is the awthaq ura of Al-Islam. It's a big thing, not the way these people have reduced it, because they know the heart. You play with the heart. It's something difficult to manage. People are sitting in the audience and a speaker will come. They know nothing about the speaker, but they'll hate him based upon they don't know why. And we have practicing people who really believe I'm practicing, and they hate people based upon lies. They don't even know. Calling people deviants and kuffar. And if you sit with them, say, why? He doesn't have any answer. That's not our religion. That's hawa. That's hawa. So that's the second point. Love is serious in Al-Islam. And it's not what you see in popular TV and popular culture. And the vast majority of people, wallahu a'lam, are drowning in the false understanding of love. And that's why, as a person from Jahiliyyah, it's my duty and my job to sit with my daughters and to school them to the reality of men. That's my job. To school them to the reality of men. That guy is just kicking you lyrics, sister. And that's why I don't want you on any of those websites. Anybody wants to marry you, he has to come through the door, and he has to come through me, and I'm gonna give him a chance. Any brother in this room, you could be 70 years old, and you wanna marry my 16-year-old daughter, I'm gonna give you a chance. And you're 70, I don't think it's gonna work. Right off the bat, I don't think it's gonna work. My brother's Chinese, that one is Malaysian, this one over here is a white brother. I don't think it's gonna work, but I'm gonna give you a chance. And I'm gonna allow my daughter, as well as the father, I'm gonna allow her to be on her fitrah. And her fitrah is, I like the way he looks. Look at his glasses, he's handsome. Cat come from Somalia. He got that hair like that. He's a tall, slender guy. He got nice teeth. He got all his teeth. Look at that. And she likes that. And I'm gonna let her do that. But I'm gonna be the aql in the equation. I'm gonna tell, brother, do you pray? Where you come from? What's your situation, brother? Because I want to make sure he's coming to the battle with a sword, because he's going to deal with my daughter. And if he's coming to the battle with a butter knife, you know the butter knife? He's in trouble. He's going to be calling me all the time, hey, I'm having problems. Yeah, because you brought a butter knife to the battle, man. It's my daughter. The point here is, I got to school my daughters. Point number 3 about love, ikhwani, and there are a lot of points. Point number 3 about love, again, especially to our sisters, but to all you brothers as well, is that in our religion, we have to be aware of going overboard, having ghulu. Ghulu is extremist, to be extreme. I believe in al-jarh wa ta'dil. That is a science of ilm al-hadith that helps us to protect the hadith of the Nabi. But we have people of ghulu. So they're the people of al-jarh wa tajrih. There's no ta'dil. You can't go overboard. I want to ask this community, what is the single greatest ayat in the Quran? What is it? Hey, what is the greatest ayat of the Quran? Ayatul Kursi. What is the greatest surah of the Quran? Al-Fatiha. You read it at least 5 times in each prayer today. Every prayer you're going to read Al-Fatiha. It's the greatest surah of the Quran. And in that surah we ask Allah, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, in the middle, every day. You don't want to be ghulu to the right, ghulu to the left, in anything. You have to be balanced. People have ghulu. And some people think ghulu is just in the deen. No, there's ghulu in everything. Everything. The Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, inna allaha yubghidu ar-rajul alladhi yatakhallalu bilisanihi. Allah hates in a way that befits His Majesty. Allah loves in a way that befits His Majesty. بِطَرِيقَةً تَلِيقُ بِجَلَالَتِهِ. He loves, He hates. Not the way we love and we hate. He hates the man who يَتَخَلَّلُ bilisani. When he talks, he can't just talk regular so you can understand him. He always be trying to talk super educated, overboard. The khatib in Arabic, he wants to show the people he is fasih, the sahib of al-fasaha. So when he's talking, he's making saja. Every last word rhymes. Making a takalluf. Yatakhallalu. Like the baqarah, when the cow eats, his tongue is all over the place. That's how the Prophet described that man. He's going overboard. That doesn't mean you can't be intelligent and articulate yourself, but being loquacious, using all these big words, man. Come on, man. I'm from Mirpur. I didn't get educated. Just an example. I'm ummi. I don't know these words, man. Talk to me in a language I can understand. But that guy is talking on a high level. That's ghulu. He's not reading the room. It's not just in the deen. Going overboard is in a lot of things. We could give a lot of examples of that, but we have to go. The ayah said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Wala tuti' kulla halafin mahin." Ya Muhammad, don't obey, don't listen to the one who is halaf mahin. Halaf. He always says, "Wallahi, wallahi, wallahi, wallahi." Yeah, I brought it. Wallahi. You want some? Come on, man. Take it. Wallahi. Wallahi. Everything is like that. The companions used to hit the tabi'een for saying wallahi like that. The Muslim is the person who, when he says wallahi, like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, when the Prophet died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and everyone was in the masjid discombobulated, and affairs were in disarray. Did he die? Did he not die? They didn't know what was going on. When Abu Bakr came and stood on that second step of the minbar, something no one ever did, ever. When the community saw that optic and they saw that visual, everybody knew, whoa, this is something different. And they were brought to their senses just from the optic. That's how the Muslim is with wallahi. That's what the people know about him. When his father says, wallahi, everybody say, yo, he's serious, yo. He can't be the person who says, wallahi, 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 and then we don't respect his wallahi. So ghulu, it's in a lot of things. It's mujawazatul hadd. And one of the worst things you want to go overboard is in love. Sister, don't have ghulu in that man. That man is a toxic dude. He's going to destroy you mentally. And that's why I always tell these youngsters, brothers and sisters, but especially sisters, don't marry brothers who are from other ethnic groups and your family are not on board. You're going to go and marry him at the expense of losing your whole family. Don't do it. Even if he's in Medina with a PhD, don't do it. Blood is thicker than water. I met my young brother today. I would say his name, but I know that he's a shy brother. I won't mention his name. He told me he's getting ready to get married. He's from a country that starts with a B. Starts with a B. I said, the sister, where's she from? Yeah, all same place. I know how his culture is. I say to people like that, you know your culture, your mother and your father, they don't want you marrying out here. The sister's from Pakistan, and this brother is from Somalia. And both of them are students of knowledge and good kids. Good kids. But their parents are not on board. I say to that sister, give it a miss, sister. Not at the expense of your family. Don't do it. Because when you have a baby, inshallah, when it's the Eid, you're going to be all by yourself. And what if the dude turns out to be a knucklehead? And then your people are going to say, I told you so, and still boycott you. Because you have a child that they weren't in favor of you having from that marriage. Blood is thicker than water. Don't have ghulu in marriage. Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ahbib habibaka hawnan ma, asan yakun baghidaka yawmin ma. Love the one you love moderately, because the day may come where they become your enemy. And hate the one you hate moderately, because the day may come where he becomes your habib. Thumama ibn Uthal, who was tied up in the masjid for 3 days. No one sat with him to talk about Tawheed, Al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed, Al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed, Al-Asma wa Sifat. No one said that to him. No one taught him the 5 arkan of Islam. No one taught him about the 6 arkan of Al-Iman. He was just tied to the masjid for 3 days, and he was watching the community. He was watching what happened at Fajr time, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha, and what happened in between. How the companions were dealing with the Nabi of Al-Islam, the Rasul of Al-Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was watching how they were treating each other in the row, white, black, white, Arab, that, and they had love and respect for each other. Not all this kalam, Al-Islam, Al-Islam, the Khilafah, Al-Jihad. All of that is good, and we about all of that. But it can't be about kalam. Al-af'al ablagu min al-aqwal. Our actions speak louder than words. I love my mother, non-Muslim. I love my mother, but I don't call her once a week, twice a week. I don't give a dawah. I love my mother. I love my wife, but we're not helping them. That's kalam. I love Islam. But if you look at us, I'm on the Sunnah, I'm Salafi. And inshallah, we're all Salafi. Salafi meaning what the companions were and how they understand the Quran and the Sunnah. But I have no ibadah that's extra. I don't pray Fajr on time. Ala kullin. That man, Thumama, looked at those companions. Rasulullah let him go after 3 days. The man left. He went, took a ghusl on his own. Nobody told him to do that. He took a ghusl, came back, and accepted Al-Islam. He said, Ya Rasulallah. Prior to that, he used to say, Ya Muhammad, Ya Muhammad. That's how he was talking to the Nabi. He came back, he said, Ya Rasulallah. There was no face that I hated more than your face. And now your face is the most beloved face to me. There was no deen that I hated more than your deen. Now your deen is the most beloved deen to me. There was no Medina I hated more than your Medina. Now this Medina is the most beloved. He was his enemy, his ardent enemy. Have you people seen in America how those people beat up that African-American man? And did you see that? The police beat him up the other day, beat him to death. That's how it is in America. The police are a paramilitary group of thugs that have been unleashed on us. So as an African-American, if I have my boys in my car, one of them is driving, and he makes the wrong turn, it's possible that we all will lose our life over that small infraction, because that's how they look at us. Black and white. It turns out that it appears that that man accepted Al-Islam. News is coming out that that brother had accepted Al-Islam in America. It may be kadhib, I'm mutaraddid right now, mutahaffiz, but things are coming out of America in the last 2 days. The point is, listen, the hatred of some of those racist policemen, the way they hate us, the way Thumama hated Rasulullah was greater than that. The way Quraysh hated Al-Islam and the Nabi of Islam was worse than that. But Allah changed their hearts. And when Allah changed their hearts, they loved them. To the point that Amr ibn al-As, he said, I used to hate Rasulullah so much before Jahili, I wanted to kill him, I wanted him to die. But after I accepted Islam, I would never look in his face out of respect. Not fear, respect. You know the way you're supposed to look at your dad, your uncle, the scholar. They call it in Arabic haiba. Haiba. More than likely you can beat the Sheikh up, as an example. You're stronger than him. You can out wrestle him, put him in an arm bar, break his collarbone. You can do that. I'm not telling anybody to go do that to the Sheikh. I'm telling you, you're not afraid of his muscles and his strength. It's the respect, haiba, how your boys are supposed to be with you. When you say to one of them, hey, take this in the kitchen, and he doesn't roll his eyes at you, he doesn't suck his teeth, he just gets right up and takes it. And he's supposed to do that with his mother as well, but he doesn't. He doesn't do it with his mother. That's haiba, to respect your dad like that. Arabs have that, and they used to have it. They're losing it. Asians have it, a lot of Africans have it. But life in the UK, we're losing that respect. Wallahi, we're losing it. We're losing it. Used to be in America, the parent would say, especially white parents, hey Johnny, Johnny is getting, hey Johnny, go get in timeout, Johnny. Now Johnny said, Ma, you go to timeout. And that's what the Prophet used to say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min waladin yakun rabbin aliyya. Allah, I seek refuge in you from having a child who is a lord over me. I have to bend over backwards to make the relationship go because he's a millennial. Generation X and Z. All of these letters now, LGBT, Generation X, Z, it's all complicated now. So in order to keep my relationship with my son, he's the problem. All of his clothes, all of the heat, all of the food, everything. He doesn't contribute to anything. All he has to do is throw the garbage out, the bin of the kitchen, and the bin in the bathroom. That's it. You can't do that. This is what we're dealing with now with this new generation. Ya Muhammad, tell me, what are the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah? The Prophet said, Antara and talat al-amatu rabbataha, that you see the slave girl giving birth to her master. One of the meanings of that, the child becomes the parent, and the parent is the child. That's what we have right now. The parent will go to the school and tell the school, my mother did this, my father did that, get the parents in the prison. Anyway, ghulu in love is a problem. إنما أهلك إياكم والغلو إنما أهلك من كان قبلكم الغلو في الدين. Beware of going overboard in everything, because those people who went before you, they were destroyed because they went overboard in their deen. Their love for Isa ibn Maryam, they said he's the son of Allah. Their love for Uzair, they said he was the son of Allah. We have people who take sheikhs. Akhi, we have people who take sheikhs. And Imam Abu Hanifa, there's no scholar today who is comparable to Imam Abu Hanifa. But to call him Al-Imam Al-A'zam is ghulu. And Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, Rasulullah was taken, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, from Mecca to Bayt al-Maqdis. And he prayed with all of the prophets, from Adam to Isa. I want to ask you guys, who's the Imam Al-A'zam? Who is the real Imam Al-A'zam? Who is he? The Nabi of Islam. Not Imam Abu Hanifa. Now I can see Imam Abu Hanifa. He's from the Salaf of this ummah, from the first 3 generations in Al-Islam. I can see him. But we have people now from this country and that, whatever the Sheikh say, we have to listen to him. And if you don't listen to that point of view of the Sheikh, people throw you off of the Sunnah. That's ghulu, ya akhi. Ghulu in your love for the Sheikh. Don't go overboard. So again, I want to reiterate this with the sisters because it's a critical point with our women. Sister, don't go overboard. I don't want to be vulgar, guys, but this thing about love is just so far out that when you look at it, it's really like amazing. I'm not even going to mention that, inshallah. We'll go to the next point, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. And the next point concerning love is, guys, listen to what I'm about to tell you, and we're going to finish with these last 2 points. The Prophet was sitting with a man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and another man walked by. That man said, Ya Rasulullah, you see that man over there? He said, yes. He said, Wallahi, I love him for Allah's sake. Me and him are close, we cool. We are real tight. We are real tight. Rasulullah said, did you tell him that? He said, no, I never told him. He said, if you love someone, you should tell them that you love them. Because if you tell them, it will cause the love to endure, and you will foster the love. There's nothing wrong with saying to your dad, I love you. A'udhu billah. How can a man have a son who's 13, 12 years old, and he never kissed his son? and never said to his son, come here, boy. I love you, man. That's because the way he was grown up, the way his father grew him up, the old country, boys don't cry. You better stop being a girl, stop crying. He talking about, only girls don't cry. Rasulullah used to cry. Abu Bakr used to cry. Umar used to cry. Those were men. So many of our boys and many of our men were not in touch with, I don't want to say our feminine side. You got no femininity in me. What are you talking about? But we're not in touch with our emotional side where we're cool with crying and showing affection. What's wrong with that? Man never heard from his father once. He never heard from his father, I love you. Unless his father was drunk, and then that alcohol had him saying that. But if he wasn't drunk, he wouldn't say it. Some Muslim fathers never told their sons, I love you. Never pulled his son close and kissed his son at the age of 13. So in our madrasa, we have a lot of kids, got a lot of issues. You tell a little boy, come here, so-and-so, come here. And you want to give him love because you know he's not getting that home. So when I want to hug him, he's very uncomfortable. He does like this. He's uncomfortable. He can't come and give love back, hug you back. On social media, I saw recently, yesterday, day before, there was a brother who was in Uganda. He was responsible for an orphanage. And he went away. And he was away for a few days, significant amount of time. When he came back to the orphanage and the kids saw him back, they all came running to him, one after another. Wallahi, make you cry. Because the vast majority of what I see on social media, I don't believe it. I believe it's a skit and they set it up. But this was real. Anybody see that? Anybody see that? Don't tell me, man, I'm the only one who saw that. You guys gonna sit there like I'm watching social media and you not? Did anybody see that thing? Anybody? Man, it was touching. And you know what it said? It said that those kids love that cat. They were running, jumping before they got there. They were jumping his arms. And he would hug them, each one of them. They would hug him 7 at a time. And they just kept coming, just kept coming. I said, I would like to have that kind of love from the shabab of our community. It was touching, wallahi, it was touching. So in regards to the issue of love, if you love someone, especially your mother, especially your wife, or the young brother that I was talking to, you're gonna get married, you gotta tighten up on your Mac Daddy game. You gotta start learning how to talk to your wife in a nice way, to make her feel, you hear me, man? To make her feel she's special. My wife was insistent, you have to be there for this baby this time. You're always traveling, Umrah, Hajj, you're giving lectures. I want you there. I said, I'm not into that. My daughter, your sister, your mother, she said, you don't love me. So I had to be there, and I was there. I love you, I just ain't into that. I'm an African man. And we Africans, we don't have to be there for that. But we're in Europe now, I gotta be there. I ain't into that. So I said, okay. And when I was there supporting her, I was like, yeah, honey, you're doing, yeah, you're doing good now, you're doing good. And she was squeezing my hand, squeezing. Now, I don't mean this in a nasty way. Look how my hand is bent right there. You see that? It wasn't like that last week. My wife bent my finger out of position. I don't mean this in a nasty way. In America, this is something bad. I'm just showing. You see how my finger is crooked? My wife bent my finger out of shape from the pain. She was grabbing my finger, screaming with my finger. And then the nurses said to me, okay, Mr. Abu, your baby is here. You want to cut the umbilical cord? My voice, I was going to say, I ain't into that. But I knew my wife would be upset. So I had to have the siyasa. I said, man, give me them scissors, man. So I went to cut the umbilical cord. I can't see that well. I had 3 eye operations. I can't see that umbilical cord. I said, I'm gonna cut my baby's leg, man. I can't see that umbilical cord. But I saw, and she was upset already. So I cut the umbilical cord, and she breathed. I'm so happy that I did that. That's how you gotta be when you get married, man. You gotta be soft and gentle. You gotta be romantic. It's not corny. But the point I wanna make, listen to what I'm gonna say, is the last point. We tell people, I love you. I love you, ma. Thank you for what you did for me, Ummi. Wallahi, hoyo, wallahi, I love you, what you did for me. I love you. I appreciate it. You have to do that. And with one another, it's not LGBT for us to say to each other, I love you. Now, granted, it's not my culture. Don't grab my hand as a man walking down the street. I ain't into that. Don't hold my hand. I ain't into those shows of affection. I don't care. I don't care. Don't do that. Don't kiss me on my nose. I ain't into that stuff. But I'll hug you. I'll say I love you. I'll kiss my sons. So you got to tell people that you love them. Umar was the Khalifa. A man was with Umar. And this is the finish. The man said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, this is my friend. And I know him and I love him. Make him one of the people who works in your ministry. Give him a responsible job. Give him a responsibility. Umar said, do you know him? He said, yeah, I know him. I love him. My friend. He said, you know him? He said, yeah. Umar said to him, did you ever travel with that man? He said, no. Because when you travel with people, you know their reality. As sefer means to expose. Traveling to expose. When you travel, you see people's reality. He said, did you ever eat with that man? He said, no. Because when you eat together, does he leave food for you? Is he a glut? Does he chew his food? He's just eating it, like, you know, like an animal. Does he have edib? No, I never ate with him. You ever did business with him? You ever borrow him money? I want to ask you guys with a show of hands, how many of you have borrowed people money? Put your hands up. How many of you have borrowed people money, you gave them money and you didn't get your money back? The right hand, the right hand, the right hand, the right hand. He said, did you deal with money with him? Now, if I really knew that cat, I'd have never gave him the money. Never. Never. I thought I knew him. Fourth thing he said, did you sleep with him? Did you sleep with him? Don't sit there. Umar wasn't talking about LGBT. Wasn't talking about that. Did you sleep with him means you and him were sharing the same space and the man went to sleep. And while he was sleeping, he starts to speak about his secrets. It's like the man who's married. Never have a conversation with your wife while you have nu'as, you're falling asleep, and you're talking because you start saying things you shouldn't say. Even in Salah, the Nabi said if you have nu'as and you're praying, he said stop praying, because one of you may go to worship, to praise Allah, but you curse Allah. So when you sleep with him, he starts saying things that you didn't know. He was in the gambling spot. He sleep, he said, man, I lost all that money. I can't believe I lost my other money. What I'm going to do? And then you ask him today, you was talking about the gambling spot in Vegas. What were you talking about? He said, how you know? How do you know? Because he let it out while he was sleeping, not LGBT. So the point is, Umar said to that man, you know, your relationship with that man is, you saw him making ruku' and sajda in the masjid, and you think he's good. But you don't know that person until you did those things with him. So sister, what do you mean you loved the brother and you didn't do anything with him except talk? And you heard his lyrics and his promises. And he may have brought you a gift here and there at the beginning to win you over. At the beginning to win you over. He'll promise you everything. And she'll promise you everything as well. Don't worry. I'll get up any moment. You want me to make anything? I'm gonna wash your feet. I'm gonna wash everything. I wash, I cook, I clean. A scale of 1 to 10 and cooking, I'm 11.5. But when you get married to her, you realize she has no skills. No skills about the tarbiyat al-manzil. And that's why the girl needs her father. And that's why the girl needs her mother. Somebody want to marry my daughter. I'm going to ask him, are you a virgin, brother? Are you a virgin, brother? And I want you to take a test, STD, before you marry my daughter. That girl ain't gonna ask that question. That innocent girl. Some of you will sit there and hear what I just said and feel uncomfortable because of your culture. Feel uncomfortable if you want. That's not what I mean to do, but that's the reality of what we're living right now. She don't even, that never popped in her head. It's all about her being a virgin. So remember, in concluding what Allah said in the Quran, al-akhillau yawma idhin ba'duhum li ba'd aduwwun illa al-muttaqin. The people who love each other and the friends, Yawm al-Qiyamah, they're going to be enemies one to another, except those people who have taqwa. So let your relationship be built upon the Kitab and the Sunnah and the way the companions understood it, because they had marital issues that we can look at. It doesn't always work. Every marriage is not made in heaven. That's why we have a talaq. All right? Our mother Zainab bintu Jahsh, she married Zayd ibn Haritha, an ex-slave. They got married. But she was from Quraysh, high lineage, nobility. And he was an ex-slave. And she didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. She felt she was a better lineage. There's no compatibility. I'm from Quraysh, Qurayshia. He's an ex-slave. The lady came, Fatima bint Qais. She said, Ya Rasulullah, I have no problem with my husband Thabit. He is a wali from the awliya of Allah. I love him. He's a good man. But I don't want kufr after Islam. We're not compatible. So, in some of these cultures in 2023, and I'm done. Akhi, what's your name? Second brother, 1, 2. Yeah, you. Nah, you. Yeah, you. What's your name? Muhammad. Where you from? I'm from America, man. You from America? Nah, man. Nah. The reason why I asked that, I'll tell you later. In the companions, they had those problems and it didn't work. She said, I have no problem with him. His deen. I just don't want to be a kafir after the ni'mah of Islam. So you may marry a boy in 2023, the parents forced marriage in 2023. They forced the girl to marry her cousin from back in the country. He doesn't even speak English. She's not attracted to him. There's no compatibility, but she has to do it in 2023. That's takhalluf, backwards. So you're not always going to get the right mate. So stop living in the Disneyland and the fantasy land. We're going to stop here, inshallah azawajal. If you brothers have any questions, we'll take about 10 minutes of the questions, then we out of here, inshallah azawajal. Want to encourage you, since they're collecting money for our brothers there in Turkey, those of us who are here in this masjid tonight, let's try to, inshallah, come up with some cheddar, some cash amongst ourselves, those of you who can do it, to help our brothers in this blessed setting. That Yawm al-Qiyamah we come, and hopefully Allah Azza will have mercy upon this majlis, and He'll make it one that is Mubarak, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Another reminder for anyone online and the sisters is Slido, and the title is Love, L-O-V-E. We'll start with the brothers, inshallah, until the questions do come in.
You guys have any questions, Ikhwani? You don't feel obliged. You ain't got no question, We don't have to make them have a question. Got a love for your brother, what you love for yourself. I'm going back to Birmingham tonight, inshallah, and my man is really tired. Any questions, Ikhwani? Tfaddal. Sheikh.
What are your views or opinions on making hijrah to get married?
What are my views on making hijrah to get married? Moving to another country and staying there. To look for a wife. There's nothing wrong with that, akhi. There's an ayat of the Quran that Allah Ta'ala mentioned, بَلَ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. Every person knows his situation better than the next person. So if a man wants to go to another country in order to get a wife from that country for whatever reason, then that's what he wants. That's what floats his boat or her boat. He doesn't want a girl who is westernized, for an example. Or he wants a girl who is westernized. He doesn't want a girl who went to the university and she was hit with some of that stuff that the girls go to university hit with. So he wants like a village type girl, like, you know, he doesn't want a bush girl. He don't want a girl from the bush. You know what I mean, a bush girl, like back in Africa, bush girl, for an example. Bush girls everywhere. He doesn't want that, but he wants like somebody similar to his grandmother, like that. Nothing wrong with that. But then there's another brother who wants more than that. So everybody goes for what works for him. And we have the recipe for that, right? A woman is married because of her deen. She's married because of her lineage. She's married because of her wealth. She's married because of her beauty. Fadfir bidat ad-deen. Tarabat yadat. Marry the one for the deen and you'll be successful. So I'm all for going back to wherever you come from or to another country to get a sister from back there. Nothing's wrong with that. Any more questions? Ikhwani, tfadli ya akhi. How did I come to Islam? If I had to give that answer and you came to find I had to kill everybody here, man. I have to kill everybody here, man, because they'll come after me, so I can't let that secret out. But I will say Malcolm X is a hero of mine. Malcolm X, yeah, Malcolm X. Because his life was a lot like our lives. And then he found the Nation of Islam, they're kuffar. And then he found real Islam, the Islam that's universal. He didn't have a lot of knowledge. He couldn't read Surah Al-Fatiha, but he was in Mecca and Mina, and he was in a tent. And he was in that religion of the nation, and they were racist. And now I think it's Black History Month here, right? They only give us 1 month, that's it. 1 month, and it's the shortest month at that. As if black lives don't matter. Black lives matter. So he was a racist with that Islam that he thought he was on, Elijah. Then he became a real Muslim, and his sister paid for him to go to Hajj. When he came to Hajj, and he was in Mina, in the tent, way back then, in 63, 62, that was a long time ago. When it was nighttime in Mina, how many of you people made Hajj here? Made Hajj, how many of you? So you know what I'm talking about in Mina. Most of the people won't have an idea. So he was in a tent in Mina, and the lights went off, and the people went to sleep. He said when he went to sleep, he started hearing people snore. And he realized he couldn't identify what was the color of anybody based upon their snoring. He couldn't tell it's white, black. Then he realized he came from an environment, America, which is built upon, predicated upon, and steeped in racism. Trump is not an anomaly. That's America, brother. That's the West. And we have to be balanced, us Muslims. I say here without any apologies, the NHS, any Muslim who works for the NHS in any capacity, on behalf of our community, we applaud you. I say thank you. I say jazakallahu khaira to those women and those nurses and midwives in the NHS. They were professional. They were loving. They were caring to my daughter and my wife. I didn't see racism. I didn't see Islamophobia. But at the same time, am I going to go out and forget the statement of Allah? وَلَن تَرْضَ عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَالنَّصَارَ وَلَا النَّصَارَ حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. I'm not going to forget that ayah. I'm going to forget that in Sweden they sponsored the Quran being burned. I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to forget that they support Israel, the Zionists like that. I'm not going to forget that. We have to be balanced. So Malcolm X's story was something that inspired me, and I would encourage you guys to go back and read his story. Not watch the movie. The movie is entertaining. It's entertaining, but it's his book that will blow you away. This brother, and that brother, and we out of here.
Sheikh, we've got questions from the sisters.
All right, we have to give the sisters the opportunity. No, they have to wait in line. الرجال قوامون. تفضل يا أخي. No, we're going to let the sisters go. Go ahead, let the sisters go.
I've read that parents cannot reject a spouse of sound faith over ethnic or culture. What to do if they're not changing their mind for non-religious reasons?
The Prophet said in the hadith, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if a religious person comes to you, a person comes to you for marriage, and you are impressed with his deen and his khuluq, then marry him. If you don't marry him, there's going to be fasad, that is arid. It's going to be widespread in the earth, not just in your house. It's going to be in the earth. So the two criterion is khuluq and deen. But that doesn't mean you can't reject him, because there's a thing that is called al-makatha, which is compatibility. Abu Bakr wanted to marry Fatima. Rasulullah said, no, you're too old. Umar wanted to marry Fatima. Rasulullah said, no, you're too old. Ali married Fatima. They both came up in the house of Nubuwah, and they were pretty close in age. Compatibility. Marrying no Sheikh. He's Sheikh al-Islam, 80 years old. Gonna marry my daughter? Gonna marry my daughter 18 years old? But he's the Sheikh. He's the Sheikh. Marry him to your daughter, man. He ain't marrying my daughter, 80 years old. All due respect to the Sheikh. So compatibility. The Nabi of Islam never married a woman who had low lineage. Every woman he had married was high lineage. She was from Quraysh. Or in the case of our mother, Safiya bintu Huyay, she was a Jewish lady, but as Prophet Muhammad said, you're married to a Nabi, your uncle was a Nabi, and your father was a Nabi, meaning Harun and Musa. When Aisha said, Ya Rasulullah, hasbuka min Safiya. It's enough, Safiya's short. Aisha was jealous. She's short, lady. And Safiya went back and said, Ya Rasulullah, she said that about me. He said, Ya Aisha, you said a word like if that word was mixed with the ocean, it'd pollute the ocean. And all she was like, she's short. She just pointed. But when she told the Nabi, he said, don't listen to her. You're married to a Nabi, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Your father is a Nabi from Bani Israel, Harun, and your uncle Musa is a Nabi. You have high lineage. What's she talking about? So again, the boy is Somali, the girl is Somali, but they're from different tribes. And neither one of the kids are into that stuff, but the parents are. Don't forsake your family, yo. Don't marry somebody who your parents are not in agreement with it. Try to get them on board, do whatever you can. Get people involved. But if they hold their position, then remember the hadith. Man taraka shay'an lillahi awadahu Allah ma huwa khayru minhu. Anybody who abandons something for Allah, Allah will replace what he abandoned with that which is better. Sister, don't marry no cat, nobody, when your parents are not involved. Unless it's Isa ibn Maryam. Different story. Marry Isa ibn Maryam. The Mahdi, marry the Mahdi. But he has to be the real Mahdi. Can't be Juhayman and all that kind of stuff like that. Go ahead, brother. Marrying the project, I come from the projects. You mean those high-rise buildings in the ghetto?
When you're trying to get to know somebody and she's telling you I will change.
Oh. Yeah. You want to marry someone and the person keeps promising, I'm going to change, I'm going to change. If a brother or a sister wants to marry someone and they may not be up to snuff in terms of their deen or in terms of working, what they're bringing to the table. The girl is bringing more to the table than the dude. She has a good job and he doesn't. She wants him to provide. She goes to work and hustles all day. And all he says to us, it's hard out here, man. Racism, Islamophobia. I'm going to do it. And then he just got excuses. I say you give him, because I do believe in the underdog, and I believe in giving chances, because you want that to happen to you. None of you truly believe, so you love for your brother what you love for yourself. So if I was really in that position, I wouldn't want someone talking right now, and I'm in that position, and they say, kick him to the curb and don't give him no rhythm. So I'm not gonna say that. But I have to be responsible. I'll tell a person, don't go for the okie doke. Don't go for the 69 fake out. That kalam is important. But I want to see actions, man. I'm giving you 2 months, 3 months, inshallah, something like that. If this thing doesn't drastically change, you're out of here. I'm going to look for another situation. And you got to be strong, man, and stick to your guns. When you're weak and a slave to that love, that girl will go to work every day, and this cat is playing PlayStation when she leave and PlayStation when she come home. And say, hey, hurry up and go watch them and give me my food, man, hurry up. And he won't get off PlayStation. And she can't see, hey, brother, you got to get a job, man. What you talking about? I'm killing myself. And some of our wives and mothers, they do a lot of jihad. They wash the clothes, they go to work, they take the school kids on a school run, they pick them up. The divorced wife is doing everything. Everything. And we're not contributing as men. And we're not contributing as men. So we have to fear Allah Azza wa Jalla and give the program and be fair and just. Last question, Fadli, my man, Yunus. Inshallah, Yunus, I'll answer that question when we hook up on the horn. We're going to hook up on the horn, and I'll get that from you, and I'll try to break that down to you at another time, okay? It's my word. Somebody, the last question, my brother, Ali Abdul Nasir. From the Quran is that ayat where the people make the dua, oh Allah, provide for us from our wives righteous progeny, offspring, and make us imams, make us and them imams, leaders for the muttaqeen. Which goes to show one of the main goals and objectives of getting married in Al-Islam is to populate our ummah, to have babies, to keep your lineage going, your mother and your father, and their mother and your father. So the Prophet told everybody here, Zawwiju al-wudud al-wulud fa-inni mukathirun bikum al-umam yawm al-qiyamah. Listen to this fiqh of Islam. Marriage is not Hollywood or stuff. He said, marry those women who are wadud. Wadud means she's loving. She has it in her heart to love you, man. And you brothers who are not married, you got the love of your mother and the love of your sister. One of the greatest ni'mas on this earth is having the love of a woman who really loves you, man. A wife who loves you, brother. It's a ni'mah to have a woman who loves you. And vice versa, the girl to have a dude who loves her. He says, so marry the women who are loving and the women who are prolific in giving babies. Because if she loves you, she'll be willing to have a baby. People get married and the girl is taking birth control because she don't want to have no babies with this cat. It's the last thing she wants because she can see the writing on the wall. He said, marry those women and have those babies because I want to have the majority of the followers Yawm al-Qiyamah. So that means we just have babies and we don't take care of them, no tarbiyah with the kids, we don't connect to them. So they run in the streets of London, antisocial behavior, knives, drugs, acting crazy in school, and we say we practice the sunnah. No. You and that girl get into a contract to develop babies and offspring for our community so that this hadith can be practiced. So that ayat of the Quran is a further dalil that the marriage in Al-Islam is not just about, you know, that first time when you're in love. And that is a nice feeling, man. That's a nice feeling. Hey, I'm your brother. I'm your older brother in many instances. Show of hands. How many of you really been in love? Put your hand up. No. Really been in love. How many of you? Masakeen. Oh, Allah, I hope them to get in love. See what I mean? Oh, Allah, I hope them get in love. Oh, Allah, open up the doors of Rahman and help these cats to get in love. Now, I know in your culture, some of you is scared. Man, that's corny, man. I ain't put my hand up for that. That's embarrassing. That ain't embarrassing, brother. It is a ni'mah to be in love, man. To come home to your baby and your wife and your kids and stuff, and you hanging out with them. Big ni'mah. But it's not about that thing in the beginning. It ain't gonna stay that way, where you're gonna always see her looking pretty and, oh, it ain't gonna stay that way. What's gonna happen if she had 3, 4, 5 babies? What's gonna happen when she put 10, 15, 20 years on a calendar? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen to you when your tooth fall out? She gonna kick you to the curb because your tooth fell out? Or is she still gonna say, you the man? You still a man. So it's not about what they're showing us. Everything is, it's not about that. Marriage is hard work, son. You gotta get ready for it. So find a good girl and the right mate, find a good brother the right way, and you'll be okay. We wanna stop here.
Sheikh, I'm really sorry, but the sister's got like 8 questions. If we don't answer some.
Very quickly, inshallah.
How do you find a potential spouse if your parents don't know anyone?
If your parents?
How do you find a potential spouse if your parents don't know anyone?
That's the masjid. We are people who are, we are community people. المؤمن الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم خير من المؤمن الذي لا يخالط الناس ولا يصبر على أذاهم. The Muslim who mixes with his people and he's patient with what he sees that bothers him is better than the one who doesn't mix. He described the mu'min. He said, al-mu'min ya'laf wa yu'laf wala khayra fi man la ya'laf wa la yu'laf. The Muslim believer is the one who connects to people. And when they try to connect to him, he reciprocates. And that's how we're going to be with people. You're going to meet people in the masjid. You can't be one of those people who don't give salams. You see this man for the first time, salam alaikum, salam alaikum. And then you start bumping into him. That's how we get to know each other. How are you going to come to this masjid, man, and people also come, you don't know each other? What kind of stuff is that? What kind of Islam is that? That brother can be a potential husband for your daughter, or his brother, or his sister. But if you're introverted and you have social anxiety and you feel you can't talk to people, then that's a problem. But when it comes to the dunya, the people are out, you know, putting their thing across because they want the job. Nah, in the masjid, we're brothers. So don't be afraid. Go ahead, my man.
Ruling on raising children in a kuffar country.
What do you mean the ruling? What kind of question is that?
I assume, is it halal or haram?
It's permissible to raise children in a kuffar country if by being in that country they are not losing their deen. But if they lose their deen and their akhlaq, then you shouldn't be in that place with those children. And the dalil of that is what happened in Mecca and what happened in Ethiopia. The Muslims went to that country and they went with their kids. They have to make hijrah. They couldn't practice and they went to that place. You know, people were not Muslims, but they got out of the environment where they couldn't practice. And those who didn't have the ability to leave Mecca, they stayed in Mecca. Why? لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. But I'm going to tell you something. Every parent, my brother down there, I saw you when your son came in and your boy was with you, mashallah. Allah is going to ask us about being here in the UK. And I don't apologize about being here. And I want you guys not to apologize. We ain't no second-class citizens. We are a very important fabric of this society. We don't have to be on the defensive. If all of the Muslims left this place will fall down. People are not going to make us feel like we're second-class citizens. But we should bring the best of what we have to offer to the table. We shouldn't compromise the infrastructure. Lying on the dole, the antisocial behavior, the drugs. I go into the prisons. Muslims all in the prisons, man. The prison is one of the best places to be a Muslim for a revert. And for people who are not practicing outside. If you go into prison, you got protection, you got fraternity, you got camaraderie, you got isolation where you can learn your religion. Some people practice and live in Islam better in the prison than out here. We are in the prison. Nah, we don't want that. We want to be people who say, look, kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas. So as parents, we have to do the best that we can. Next.
Final question, inshallah. How do you go about trying to find a spouse when you're in studies and have familial responsibilities?
When what?
You're in your studies and have familial responsibilities.
What responsibility?
Familial, I think like family responsibilities.
Oh. Familial? That's like Italiano. We say to people like that, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah to the best of your ability. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Whoever fears Allah, Allah make a way out for him. 3 people Allah's doming. Allah's doming. He's responsible for 3 people. The one who goes out for jihad, fi sabilillah. We're not going to stop saying jihad. It's our religion. But the jihad we're talking about is the jihad that is the right place, time, the ahkam, the right people. Not Boko Haram, not Shabab, not Qaeda, not that nonsense. We ain't talking about that. But we ain't apologizing about no jihad. The real jihad. Allah is responsible for him. And Allah Azza wa Jalla is responsible for the one who borrowed money and he wants to give it back. And Allah is responsible for the young man who wants to get married and the young woman. You really want to get married to protect yourself. Allah is going to take care of you, inshallah Azza wa Jalla. And I end with this hadith that you all know. Sahih Bukhari, of that man who asked the people, give me a loan. I need 1,000 dinars. Anybody been to Kuwait here? Anybody been to Kuwait? 1,000 Kuwaiti dinars, about 4,000 pounds. Their money is strong, son. If you got $1,000 Kuwaiti, their currency is strong. Back then, this man said to the community, I need 1,000 dinars. And he went to that man. He said, would you give me 1,000 dinars? He said, I'll give it to you, but you have to give me someone who is dominant, that if you don't pay, they'll pay. He said, Allah is my dominant. He said, okay, that's good. He said, but you got to give me some witnesses. He said, Allah is my witness. He said, okay. And he's from Beni Israel. Go to show you that some of them people from Beni Israel were our brothers. Not these Zionists. Not these devils who are Zionists. Shayateen al-Ins, those people. So the man took the dough. And he got on a boat and went to where he came from. And the guy who gave him the money would come, when he was supposed to pay the money, he would come to the shore to see if the man ever came. That guy couldn't get the boat to come back. So you know what he did? He got the money, man. He put the money in some wood and threw the money in the ocean and made a dua, oh Allah, that man gave me this money and I say you enough as a witness and a dom and he believed me. Oh Allah, get this money to that man. And he threw that money in that water. That man came every day looking for the boat, never was coming. He saw the wood floating and he took the wood for firewood. And anyone who knows anything about fires and wood, you know that wood that's in water is not going to burn. It just makes smoke. That's all. You don't put that wood in the fire, it don't make smoke. So normally you would leave it. You just leave it. But the man took it. And he went home. And he opened the thing and the 1,000 dinar was in there. The man still got on the boat later and he came. He said, did you send me the money? He didn't say yes, he didn't say no. He said Allah made a way. He knew he got the money. So the point here is, if you rely on Allah, Allah is Ar-Razzaq, Dhul Quwwat al-Mateen, as the Imam read today in Salat of Maghrib. And mashallah, Salat al-Isha was beautiful as well. I really like this message of Qalam, and we're going to end on that. Thanking the admin for giving us this opportunity to come to you, Shabab, to give you dawah to as-Salafiyya, the Quran and the Sunnah, the way those companions were upon it, and not these jama'at and all of this stuff and hatred and hizbiyah that we have. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh. Barakallahu feek. Brothers and sisters, do please donate generously and give as much as you can. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.